Breaking news right now, there's a verdict in Donald Trump's hush money trial. We are waiting for the jury to come back and find out if the former president has been found guilty or has been acquitted. Now, Trump was facing 34 counts of felony bribery, and we have a team of reporters at the courthouse in Manhattan. So make sure to stay tuned with Newsday, and we'll bring you that verdict as soon as we have it. Breaking news right now, former President Donald Trump has been convicted in his hush money trial, and he was found guilty on all counts of falsifying business records. Now, this stems from payments he allegedly made to Stormy Daniels. Newsday has a team of reporters at the courthouse. Sherry Einhorn joins us live from Lower Manhattan. Sherry, take it away.
Hey, Ken, history being made right. Ken, history is being made right here, right now. As you said, former President Donald Trump found guilty. Now, Newsday has Michael O'Keefe inside the courtroom, listening to what's happening right now. Joining me, Newsday's Janin Fisher. 34 counts, 34 guilty charges. You and I were watching it as Michael was typing it. Tell me what's been happening.
It's incredible. Yeah, the jury took about 2 days to deliberate. They found him guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records, in furtherance of a conspiracy to cover up hush money payments to the adult film star Stormy Daniels, and that was all in furtherance of suppressing the information, and it's a campaign finance violation. It was to suppress the information from the American people voting in the 2016 presidential election. It took the jury, again, about 2 days. They had a lot to chew over. There was a verdict. There are readbacks from testimony, a 2015 meeting in Trump Tower with the National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and Michael Cohen, Trump's fixer, who was a loyalist, who fell out of favor with the former president and turned against him. The meeting was basically to outline the strategy, to outline the conspiracy that the jurors found him guilty of. They were going to find any women who were coming forward to say that they had slept with the president, any negative stories about the president. They were going to catch and kill those stories. They were going to pay off the people, and they were hiding the payoffs to avoid campaign finance reporting. So that's basically what the jury's found. It's taken them. There were audio tapes that they listened to, audio tapes that Michael Cohen took or recorded of Donald Trump talking about paying off the former Playboy Playmate, Karen McDougal, in the first hush money payment that he made. He was not charged in that payment, but that was part of a pattern that showed that he understood what the money was for, how to do it. It laid it all out. In this whole case, it showed the president with, befriending the tabloid publisher David Pecker, consorting with porn stars and seedy lawyers. Sorry.
That's all right. No, let me ask you a question. So right around 4:25, we got word that jurors were going to be let go at 4:30, and lots of people in the thousands of media, ourselves included, were about to pack up for the day. And then 4:38, we got wind that a verdict was in, and 20 minutes after that, we heard the verdict. Do you think people are surprised that it only took 2 days?
Well, I watched this jury over a month and a half, taking notes, paying close attention to everything that was said. They were very diligent, even during the marathon summations. 3 hours from the defense attorney, 5.5 hour summation from the prosecutor. We were there until 8 o'clock at night. They were there taking notes, paying attention, and they all, I think they internalized everything, and I think they did their jobs.
And so what we had heard this morning was that the former president seemed a little lackadaisical, we'll call it, sort of not high energy. And then later in the day, very high energy, sort of joking around with people. And then when the verdict was announced, suddenly became very serious.
Right. The report we have from Michael O'Keefe inside the courtroom is that he was not joking around. He was a little bit morose inside the courtroom. He at one point was joking with his lawyers, but that all changed when he found out that the jury came back with a verdict.
Okay, Janin Fisher from Newsday, thank you so much. So again, just to reiterate, there were 34 counts against former President Donald Trump. We have heard there are 34 guilties. Again, historic moment here in Lower Manhattan. We're not sure who, if anyone, is going to come out and speak, but if they do, we will definitely let you know. For now, for Newsday and Newsday TV, I'm Sherry Einhorn in Lower Manhattan. Ken, let's go back to you.
Sherry, thank you so much. Newsday White House correspondent Laura Figueroa Hernandez is joining us now. Laura, what are the national implications of a verdict like this?
So obviously it's a historic day and it's a historic verdict to have a former president and current presidential candidate convicted on felony charges. But actually, when looking at the impact of what this will have in the presidential race, there's been a lot of polling out there that shows that it's actually going to have little impact. Siena College recently did a poll of Long Island voters, and nearly 3/4, 70% said if he was found guilty, it would have no impact on their decision. And different Republican political strategists that I spoke to said a lot of that has to do with the nature of the charges. We're talking about a case that stems from, the 2016 election and allegations that occurred even a decade before that. So these are all things that voters have heard about: the allegations from Stormy Daniels, the allegations about the Playboy model, Michael Cohen's continued, claims against Trump and the type of character that Trump is. These are all things that were known to voters, so it's not necessarily something that's going to change the script as much. Obviously, there might be some impact, in the immediate aftermath of this verdict. This is something that we've never dealt with as a country. But polling, both on Long Island and nationally, shows that the majority of voters are kind of not really moved by this case.
Now, let me ask you, when it comes to what happens next, this obviously is not over for Trump. I'm sure his attorneys are going to look to appeal. So what happens next?
That's right. So, that's always been the case all along, that they're planning to appeal. That's kind of Trump's strategy in all his cases and in his decades of trials. And so that's obviously going to be, something that a process that's going to have to play itself out. That's a legal process that's probably going to take, it drags out weeks, if not months. He's still doing appeals on his civil trials, dealing with the defamation court case that he, the allegations that he slandered a former, journalist who accused him of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. And he's, trying to kind of drag that out. So I think I don't know if the appeals process will work its way through before Election Day. But like I mentioned, it's kind of a lot of the folks, just different campaign strategists that I've talked to have said it's kind of baked in. Voters know who Trump is, and whether this conviction will change their minds or not. It doesn't seem that way, at least for now.
Now, you shared the insight on how voters kind of got what they know what they're getting when it comes to Donald Trump. But what about party leaders? Have you heard any rumblings or any chatter what people may do that are in his party after this conviction, or after this verdict, rather?
So, it's interesting because as soon as the verdict was announced, political action committees on both sides were just sending out emails. Like my phone was just lighting up with emails. Obviously, both sides, Republican Party leaders are going to paint this as an unfair conviction, of the former president. And Democratic Party leaders are going to paint this as a victory for themselves, right? This is something that, to question the character of a presidential nominee. But how how they're going to move forward with this in terms of the Republicans on Long Island remains to be seen. I will say this: in recent weeks, the Republican congressional delegation, they've very much been supportive of Trump. He had a rally in the Bronx recently, and they issued a statement that they would have been there, but they had a vote on Congress. So even that, just the nature of having a unified statement saying that we, the Republican delegation from New York, stand behind Trump, and we would have been there at that Bronx rally had we not had this, important vote here on Capitol Hill. It just goes to show that, that the support is there.
And this seems like just the beginning. Thank you so much, Newsday White House correspondent Laura Figueroa Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining us, like you said, on this historic day. And I also want to thank you, viewer, for joining us with this breaking news. We'll have much more coverage of what happens next in this conviction. Again, former President Donald Trump found guilty on all counts. Stick with Newsday and Newsday TV. We'll see you soon.